And I hope all of you are doing wonderful today. Um, Here where they start out a little dreary. Sun keeps trying to pop in and out right now. Right now it's a little windy, so I don't know. Kind of that windy wind like it's gonna rain. But the sky's looking blue right now, so it's kind of confusing. um, it's just a windy day. It's a windy blustery day, and no, it's not on a Wednesday. But according to Piglet, Wednesdays are usually a Wednesday day. I can't talk straight now. Anyway, today's Thursday. It is April, not April anymore. It is May the 1st. Um, I hope you enjoyed my devotions this morning. And somebody thought that I have two channels. No, I only have one channel. That's Thrifty Crocheter. Um, but I like to do devotions and read scripture on my channel as well as crocheting. So there's that. And I also like to loom knit. Um, and occasionally I still like to make pot holders the old fashioned way. Yes, I still have these looms in the loops. Um, I just enjoy crafting in general. My mom used to do crafts with us when we were kids, and when my kids were little, she used to do crafts with them all the time. So I enjoy crafting in general, but my main thing is crocheting. I like to crochet pot holders and hats and scarves, blankets. I have done a few stuffed animals, but I'm not really good at amigurumi per se. I wish I was, but I'm not as good as a lot of people are. Um, if you ask my family, they think I just collect yarn. Which probably a lot of people who do the crocheting and knitting, they probably think their family members just collect yarn too. So it's, but we know we do more than just collect the yarn. Today is Thursday. And what shall I work on? I don't know. What should I work on? One of my blankets, or if I should work on my next? Because I've got in this basket, I have some squares done. Should I have one more? At least one more. Two more. I do. Ooh, I have 4 squares done. These are done in Tunisian. And I'm working on another one. And then when I get all my squares done, I'm going, and see if I got a border, then I'm going to crochet them together with a single crochet and put a border on that, and then it'll be done. But of course, it takes a while to make all the squares. And I am using my bamboo hooks for this. And I do have some bamboo hooks that are just regular crochet hooks. And then I have bamboo hooks that are these double-ended Tunisian double-ended Tunisian crochet hooks. And I am, for the squares, I'm using a 5mm hook. And they actually work very nicely with these. Hello. I am from United States. And I hope all of you are doing very well today. I'm from the Midwest in the United States. I am also working on And here I have another cardigan that I am working on. Okay, my hook wants to get stuck on the yarn. There we go. This is a 5.50 millimeter I9 hook. Um, it's like half metal, half wood. And I'm using that to make a cardigan. I'm going to show you the picture. It is in this book called The Easy Learn to Crochet in Just One Day from American School of Needlework, out of this book. And I will show you the pattern. It is called Square Deal Shrug. And then I am going to be adding to the bottom of it to make it more of a cardigan style. There's the front. And there's the back. That's what the back will look like. Oh, hello, Keith. How you doing? I am doing well. What would be the best advice I would give to a total beginner? I would use, of course, you want to buy some hooks. Go to Walmart. Sometimes we'll have, if you have a Walmart, a lot of times they will have those, a packet has hooks and a booklet on showing how to do it. You can watch tons of YouTube, and YouTube has tons of channels where they have beginner friendly, show you how to do various stitches and make various projects. Go to your local library. Your library should have a lot of books. That's where I started at. Before internet was huge and YouTube was a thing, and I went to the library, and I would use my copier and copy the projects that I liked out of the library books, or good yarn to use. Start out with is Red Heart. You can use just about any hooks that you are more comfortable with. I also have some that are lighted. I have hooks that have these kind of grip on them. Some people prefer plastic hooks. Some prefer metal hooks. It all depends on what is good for you. There are a lot of beginner friendly stuff, and you can use any name brand of hook that you'd like. Some, just because of the way that they're made, because some of them have a bigger handle, it's easier for them to grip, especially if they have, like I have a little bit smaller hands. Some have people have bigger hands. There are hooks out there that are made more for the people who have the bigger hands, so because they have more of that grip to them. There are lots and lots of videos out there. Just go looking and see, find the one that best fits for you. And just, you have to be patient. You got to be patient with yourself. And of course, when you're watching the video, you can always pause it, rewind it, and go back at the beginning. But you gotta take some patience with yourself. You gotta, sometimes, I tell you what, I had this blanket that I made for one of my family members. I got so mad at it, so mad at the pattern. I literally took the yarn and threw it across the room, hit the wall like several times, and threw the magazine clear the other side of the room because I was so mad. But what I ended up doing, because I was getting so frustrated with this pattern because it was so difficult, I tried listening to music until finally one day I was like, okay, I am going to turn the world out, don't even turn on music, there's complete silence. And I sat there in the middle of my floor with everything I needed. And I was like, okay, clear your head, read through it. First time around, then go back and start at the beginning. Okay, and go, okay, let's go through this step by step by step. And that's what helped. Because otherwise, oh, I probably would have never gotten it done. Oh, and so it does take, sometimes it takes some patience to learn stitches. And if you can't get it the first time, it's no big deal. Sometimes it takes a while. Um, Usually, your chain is easy. First single crochets, double crochets, triple crochets, half double crochets. Those are all usually pretty easy. Um, like for instance, let me see if I get one of my yarns I'm not using right now. Yes. Like okay, that's my way of putting it. And then to make a chain, you're just gonna wrap it around, pull it through, wrap and pull, wrap and pull to make a chain. Okay, so that's really easy. And most projects will tell you to start with a chain of whatever it is for that project. And then a lot of times for hats, they'll either tell you to start with a magic circle or with a chain of four, like the granny squares. Granny squares are real simple. Well, most of the granny squares are really simple. I have some videos where here's this one. Here's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. And the next one that I'm working on, each of the 4 corners is a totally different color. And and it's got the instructions in the box. It's this granny square deck. And I'm going to have to sit down and work with it to figure out how to do the 4 corners, each of the 4 sides, because I'm just like, how on earth do you do that? So I want to play with that before I do this on a video. And I've already have on my channel some of these stitches on there and how to do these various stitches. But when I show these, I use this hook. I tell you that it's like my little play hook, and because it's a little bit bigger than what you would need for most yarns, and so I use this to make the stitches a little bit bigger so that the viewer can see them, to help learn some of the stitches. But I do tell you to use the correct size hook with the yarn, because when you read a project, it will tell you what size hook you need for that project, and it will tell you in the book. Okay, I just put that book down. For this cardigan, it says skill level easy. For women's small, medium size, I hook, and for a large size, use a J hook. And medium 4 worsted weight yarn. For a blanket that I am working on out of this same book called I Love Scraps Afghan, it also needs a 4 medium yarn, and this one uses an H8 5mm hook. So what you gotta do is read the pattern, and it will tell you the size of the hook you need and the type of yarn that you need. And on your yarn, when you purchase the yarn, like I do buy yarn from Walmart. Joann's is all closed up. But you can go to Hobby Lobby or to Michael's. But I personally like to go to thrift stores and buy a lot of my yarn from thrift stores. And if I get the chance to go to garage and yard sales over the summer, and if I will go to those, and wherever I find the yarn, I will buy the yarn from those. But as long as they have the labels, like this Red Heart Super Saver, and the color is Earth, Earth and Sky, and it says on there, do 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 do, 236 yards and 5 ounces. It'll tell you right there on the label, and it will also tell you what size hook. And then on some yarns, it also tell you the size needles if you're doing knitting. And so at least you're not totally in the dark of what size of yarn to use per project. It's just your choice of colors. You can use whatever colors you would like for that project. Right, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make my chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Skip a chain. I'm just going to do singles. So you're going to skip one chain, put your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, and then you would do that all the way down. And that's how you do a single crochet. Now, if you were doing a double crochet, you would yarn over, put your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull 1 through. You got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet. A half double is similar. You're going to yarn over, put it through the chain, yarn over, pull through 1, and then instead of going through 2 and 2, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That is a half double. And then a triple crochet, you're going to wrap it twice, put it into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and 2 and 2, and that is a triple crochet. But it's that easy. But you just have to, it just takes a lot of patience with yourself, and a lot of practice. No, I am not showing off, but you appreciate the demo, good. I'm just trying to give you a feel of what the stitches can kind of look like. But I appreciate it. You think I'm showing off, because trust me, I try to do the best I can. I'm not perfect. Go watch my videos. I do have some videos on how to do some stitches. The stitches from this card deck. Rosalie Crafts some more. Hello, Rosie. Oh, I'm glad it makes it less scary. It does. It does make it less scary. But there are so far we have done the linen stitch, the ripple, primrose, houndstooth. I know a lot of people really like this stitch. It's kind of neat. Shell stitch. That one actually is pretty nice. A lot of times I like to use shells for a border on a blanket. Granny stripe. Now I did do a live where I compared the granny square to the granny stripes, and oh my goodness, it's 11 p.m. You're Irish. We'll check your videos out tomorrow. Good night and take care and God bless. Oh my goodness, it is really late for you. It is almost the next day. Wow. All right, good night. Sleep tight. Good dreams and all that. Okay. Grit. Brick. Herringbone double crochet. Suzette. Rolling waves. Eyelet. This one was pretty. Eyelet stitch. Block. Little fans. Little bitty fans. V-stitch. We use V-stitch in a lot of different projects. Side saddle. That's an interesting name for a stitch. So this one, lark's foot. Bead, B-E-A-D, bead. Sturdy mesh. And I did this one not too long ago. This one yesterday, filet crochet. A lot of people like to use filet crochet in projects. And then I just put this one out today. Colander. And these are all these are the simple stitch combinations. There's only a few more left of the simple stitch, and then after that we go into textured stitches. So those are going to be fun. So we're getting through the deck. See, they've got them colored. The simple stitch combination is in like a blue, and the textured ones are in yellow. So we're getting through the blue ones pretty good. Also, let me see to get it right here. Okay, like I said, been going through the granny square deck, and the next one, oh, I can't wait. Sometime this summer they're going to be coming out with flowered ones, and I can't wait for those. This one, they call it the quartered, and they do have directions in the little booklet on how to do this one. So I'm going to have to sit down and play with this for a minute to figure out how to do it. And it's got directions on a couple other squares. So I'm going to have to sit down and figure out how to do that one before I put that video out there. Because for me, sometimes, because I showed this on a video before, the little tiny arrows, I don't know if you can see them, but they have arrows for directional, and it was getting confusing for me while I was doing this. When I was doing the video for this the other day, I showed you I had to go to a whole nother book to do a different book to figure out how to do this. So because the card was just confusing me too much, so I had to go to a book to figure out how to do this. But for those, I am using a G 4.5 millimeter hook. And in some of the videos, oh, it does. It's lighting up. And sometimes it lights up. Sometimes I can get it to light up, and sometimes it doesn't. But it lights up. But some of you thought I said this earlier, some of you thought I had two channels. I only have one channel. It's a Thrifty Crocheter. But I do like to do devotionals every morning. And occasionally I read the scriptures that somebody sends me from those devotionals. And I also like to make pot holders the old-fashioned way occasionally. I think these are the cute little pot holders. I can use them for a coaster to put your drink on so it doesn't get any circles on your tables. And I also like to loom knit. I have a blanket on an S loom right now. And I'm also working on another panel for a blanket still. I have too many projects going on at the same time that I really need to just work on one. Actually, I did do some, well, I had to take my car into the shop this morning. So I did take one of my whips with me to work on while I was in the shop, and it was a blanket. I did get a little bit more done on that. I got my whole section done. And that was about it. And I was there for like a couple hours waiting for my car to get done. Should never be scared to start a project. If you have to, just start on something really easy, is like something like a pot holder. You can do that. Or make a granny square. That's easy. Sometimes you just got to start simple. I mean, those of us who have crocheted for a while, sometimes we say we lose our crojo. We don't have any mojo to do any crocheting. So sometimes when if you make something simple, then helps you get some juices flowing to make something else. That seems to help. Because sometimes you do get a little bit burned down on making something, or sometimes you get far into a project, and sometimes you just kind of lose your momentum to make that one because you get bored with it. And sometimes you just gotta put it aside and make something else another way. Like, for instance, I like to crochet, but I also like to loom knit. So I might put a crochet project aside and loom knit, or vice versa. Like some of you out there know how to knit and sew, so you might put one project aside to do this other project in this craft, and that's okay. You can do many things. A lot of people like to do a whole lot of different crafts, and that's okay to do multi-crafts. It really is. Because everybody in this world, not everybody in this world is exactly the same, and that's a good thing. At least the sun is trying to show through right now outside. Got some little bit of blue skies and some clouds. At the same time, the background looks a little gray. It's like it can't decide whether it wants to stay sunny or if it wants to rain right now, which is weird. Very weird. I was going to try to do this on my laptop, which is underneath the camera here, but for some reason my laptop was not picking up the internet. It's still saying not connected. I don't know why. That's frustrating. Well, I also turned the Wi-Fi off on my phone, and it still somehow picks up the internet, so I can do my live on here. Because sometimes if I turn the Wi-Fi on, sometimes it loses the internet, and then I freeze, and it just drives me nuts when it freezes. Hello, long cool woman. I am doing well. How are you? And I hope you are also having a very wonderful day. Um, Today is Thursday, May the 1st. It is May Day. It actually is. My mom used to tell me that it's May Day. May 1st is May Day, which I guess was the day that they did it. Supposedly, like the maypole dance where they had. There was a pole with all these ribbons, and the kids would hang on to the ribbon, and they would dance around the pole with the ribbon and all that kind of good stuff. At least that's what my mom taught me when I was a kid. Hello, hello, Nifty. Well, I am glad you finally get to put a face to the name. And you do probably do see me a lot. Um, I do go on a lot of people's lives, but I'm lurking. And sometimes I do put in little comments here and there on a lot of different people's lives. Um, but yes, this is me. This is me. My name is Rachel, and I am the Thrifty Crocheter. Um, my channel is roughly a year old. Although YouTube would probably say I'm older than that because when I first started going on YouTube and watching pretty regularly, watching people's things, it was underneath my real name. But I created the channel Thrifty Crocheter last year around Easter. So technically, Thrifty Crocheter is only a year old. It's just a baby channel. It's just a year old. And I don't know, and I'm still working my way up. Yes, that is correct. On Facebook, hey, Nani May, yay! Hello, dear. I hope you are well and that everything went well at the doctor's office. Um, um, on Facebook, I do have a Facebook group called Thrifty Crocheter. And I haven't put a whole lot on there. I need to start adding some stuff on there. I need to put some of my videos from YouTube on there. I probably should do that. And then, but I'm trying to make a Facebook page. Um, Years ago, our church had a thrift store, and I headed up the thrift store. And I was changing the thrift store page over to a Thrifty Crocheter page, and it still kind of says has the thrift store name in it, and then it has me in the Thrifty Crocheter in parentheses. I'll explain it better another day. Um, but besides on YouTube, like I said, I do have on Facebook a Facebook group called Thrifty Crocheter. So I have that. Um, and I just put out a new stitch called Colander. Colander. Without taking out the card again. Um, Out of this. And then yesterday I did another stitch out of there as well. Which was the filet crochet. Like I said, I have all of these squares done out of here. And this next one is going to be difficult. I'm going to have to play with the directions and with yarn because it's going to take 4 colors to make the 4 colors. And I am working on at least 2, maybe 3 2 blankets in crochet, 1 in loom knitting, and I'm working on a shrug that I'm going to change into a cardigan because the shrug only goes to like about my weight, about between my chest and my tummy meat. And so I'm going to add to the bottom of it to make it more into a cardigan. Square deal shrug. That's the front. There's the back. That's what I'm going to be making. And then the blanket that I am working on that I actually got a little bit more done while I was at the shop getting my car worked on is this. I love Scraps Afghan. That's another one I'm working on. They're both out of the same book. The Easy Learn to Crochet in Just One Day. And just one day you can learn to crochet. It actually does have pretty decent instructions in here, but I saw they put there in just one day. In just one day, you can learn to make all of that. Woo! Oh. It's, if you've ever used a book, a beginner book when you started first learning to crochet, I know everybody learned differently. Some used books, some had people in their family that crocheted that taught them. I had to rely on books. Yeah, that's gonna be a busy day. It certainly is. Don't worry, I'm not making everything in that book in one day. No, that ain't happening. um, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, how you learn, whether it's by books or by somebody else. I learned with books. Well, I gotta back that up. When I was a little kid, I took a couple little classes on crocheting and hadn't done it again since I was an adult. And so I went to the library and got books because that was pre YouTube. That was pre videos you could find on the internet. So I had to use library books. Or if I did go on the internet, I had to use Google to find patterns and print them off from the internet and put them in a binder, which I have binders full of those, which I may dig back out, because I don't remember where I put them right now because I changed my desk a little bit, and make some of those projects, and put them on here for you. Ooh, Nani Mae says that her Aunt Jessie taught her when she was 12. Oh, that's cool. I think that there's definitely a huge difference between making a video on how to make a stitch as opposed to being right next to somebody and showing them. I don't know. There's a difference, I believe. Oh, and then also when there's different sizes of hooks, there are also different sizes of and different types of stitch markers. These little tiny ones. Where'd my other ones go? Somebody heisted my other stitch markers. I had 2 other boxes of stitch markers. Somebody heisted them. Either there was another project somewhere, but I have some bigger ones. Kind of look like a curly Q. One year for Christmas, somebody got me this cute little box that has these really thin yarns, and it came with crochet hooks and stitch markers. They're like stackable, which is kind of cool. And it did come with, it even came, no, wait, this came with my pillow. Never mind. for my birthday this year. It's not really the Valari, but it is similar. And so they got me a gaming pillow to use for when I'm crocheting, which helps a lot. She said her favorite stitch markers uh, are bobby pins. Bobby pins! I would have never thought of that. Well, that's interesting. Um, yeah, that would definitely work. Now, when I had to sew projects together, I did used to use straight pins. That doesn't always work well. Sometimes that works well, sometimes that doesn't. Um, but something I've been wanting to do. I'm kind of a mess, you guys. When I get done with with the squares, um, I'm going to fill this with water, spritz them, and lay them down and pin them. I got T-pins to lay them down, to pin them down, and let them dry. And then I'm going to crochet them together with a single crochet, and then put it together to make a little blanket with all the squares. There's 50, I believe. Yes, there's 50 squares in there. So that should make it a very interesting looking blanket. And I think I'm just going to put them, make rows. Um, Starting with one and work my way across. And then we get into a nice little granny square blanket. And then when when the summer comes and they bring out the one with the flowers, we'll make those, and then I'll turn that also into another blanket. So we're gonna have fun with granny squares this year. And of course, if you want to, you could always mix and match the flowered one with the regular granny square card deck, and and do that as well. I mean, you can make them each separate, or you can put the two together and make one and combine the two. Either way, you're gonna have fun. But actually, my squares are bigger than the one here, because the one on here says they're supposed to be 4x4. These are not 4x4 by any means, because I measured them. They're not 4x4 because this box is 4x4. These are bigger than the box. But see, that also depends on the hook you use and the yarn you use, and whether you want to make make a bunch of these into a blanket, or if you just want to take one square and make it into one giant granny square, you can do that. It's however you want to do it. It's all up to you. It really is. Um, One of the blankets I am working on is, and I just showed this a little bit ago, it's the Tunisian. Oh, you want to see them? I was showing them one at a time earlier. I can do that again. Oh, I'm going to back up a little bit. Okay. Here's number one. And I'm showing you in the order that they are in the box. Here's number two. Three. Four. Yes, I know there's some dirt on there. That's how, because the yarn was a little bit dirty. Remember? So, but that's okay, because it's going to be for me. 5, yeah, 5, 6, 7, and this one, when I did this one, um, the the instructions on the card, the little directional arrows were confusing me. So for this square, I had to go looking in a book, to figure out how to do this square, because I have a project that I'm doing for Decade Divas that uses squares like this. Um, so I had to go look that up. And I tell you what, that book came in quite helpful, because that was a lot more helpful than what the card was showing me. Um, but for the squares that's underneath here, these are all done in Tunisian. Um, I had this is a friend of mine at work. She tried to try her hand at crocheting, and she got frustrated with it. So she gave me her yarn that she had. Some of them were pretty good skeins, and some of them there was just a little bit left. So I decided to make a blanket for her out of the yarn that she gave me as a way to pay it forward. And this was out of a, okay, I gotta think of the title of the, because it's from another YouTuber who does older, um, I watch her show all the time, and my mind's going blank now. But anyway, this is an older from a very older thing, older project from like the 1800s, literally like 18 something, um, where you had to make all of these Tunisian squares, and then you crocheted them together and then put a border on them. So I have this one, and a green one, and pink, and yellow, and then I'm using black for the border on this. But I will not be using black for the border when I crochet them together. And then I had used this yarn for another blanket that I finished not too long ago. And I had some left, so I decided to use some of that to make this one. I think I have enough rows. So now all I have to do now is add the border around this square, and then this square will be done. And I'm using my bamboo hooks. My bamboo hooks for this one. That's still going to take a while. And I showed you that. I showed you the blanket. Oh. Oh, I'm glad you think. Oh, I'm not. I'm glad you think I'm amazing. But thank you. Thank you. You all are too kind, really. You guys are too kind. Oh, one of the more interesting books I got recently, and I've showed this before, Creative Crochet in a Day. And in this one, it literally, come on, where's my day of the week? There they are. At the top here. For each day of the week, it has a list of projects for each day of the week. They actually did start a couple. They have a lot of They do have some blankets in here, but they mostly have a lot of doilies. Which I am not. A lot of these I'm not quite up to. Um, let's see. Where's I did try one of the bookmarks and that was in here, and with some crochet thread that I have back there. There it is on this shelf. Okay, there it is. Yeah, these shelves right here. But the bookmarking, like, I probably, when I was counting it out on the picture, they had 12 sets of shelves, or no, 24 sets of shelves, and I probably should have just stopped at 3 because it was, the bookmarks probably should have been like this long, and it was like this long. Like, it probably would have went through this book, and it was about that much on top. That was way too long of a bookmark. Um, and then there is, and if I can't find it, that's going to drive me nuts because I know I will find it later. Oh, there's the poncho I want to make. I gotta find this. There it is. There's the stocking. I've got one side done. I gotta make the other side, and it's just a little stock. It's only about like this big, and I have made this white part. Now, interesting enough, Indiana, although what state I'm in, probably crazy sometimes, or silliness sometimes. No, but seriously, in the United States, I'm in Indiana. I'm in the Midwest. It says, oh, here we go. Glue row 1 of trim around top of stocking, placing hanging loop on top. Glue sequence around row 1 of trim. I understand gluing the sequence onto the white part, but to glue the white trim onto that, I'm not so fond of that. Yes, get cold in the winter. This last winter, um, we had a very parts of the winter we had some really cold winter because it literally got down to below zero, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and so it was very cold. I got worried that my car wasn't going to start kind of cold. And but I will show you. Did I find it again? This is the poncho I would love to make. It's called Cool Crochet Poncho. I do have some sport weight yarn. It does say, but it says for 5,060 yards of sport weight yarn. And we're using a number 0 steel hook, or hook size needed to obtain gauge. Wow. I do have sport weight yarn, and I do have some steel hooks. I may have already put it in here. I don't remember. But I knew somewhere my hook set and all my hooks. I do have a 0 because it says 0 0. So it is a 0 hook. 0 is in a steel hook. Yeah. Where? Of course, when I want them, I can't find them. And when I don't need them, they're right where they need to be. I am not finding them. Okay. I'm okay. What did I do with that particular case? Okay, that's gonna drive me crazy now. I have a case that has both aluminum and steel hooks in it. I set it in here. Oh wait, I do have the hook in here. Haha. The boy. Nope. Yeah, it does say 0. Well, sort of. It says 00, and then it has like a slash, and then it says 3.50 millimeter. That is a very tiny hook. That's a little hook. Bye, long cool woman. You don't even like a 3.75. Yeah, I usually don't like. Oh yes, here we go. Haha. Here's the aluminum hooks, and here's the steel hooks. Steel hooks have much smaller hook on them than the aluminum hooks. Like this one is a 0/3.25. That one's the biggest of those, and the tiniest one I have on here is a 12 slash. It says 12/1.0 millimeter. That is, I don't know if you could see it. Look how tiny that is. That is so super, super tiny. It is so super tiny. I can't imagine using crochet thread that you gotta use something that tiny. Oh, it's even worse. Wait a minute, I got back that up. I have a 13 and a 14. The 14 is 0.75 millimeter. Those are even tinier. Oh my! I don't know that I would ever want to use that. Something that has to be that tiny. No. That's too tiny of a hook. I don't know if I'd probably go cross-eyed. I'd be like, oh. Go cross-eyed. Another blanket that I've been working on for years, literally for years. That I'm giving this to, working on to give to my step grandson. Yeah, it really was taking me forever because I put it aside and to work on it, and then I put it aside and work on it some more because there's too much. There's a lot to this. Rainbow rings, and what you have to do, and I'll answer your question in a minute, Nifty. What you have to do is you have to make each of these circles to make a chain of all of these, and each of these are crocheted. So you have to make all of that, and there's supposed to be 50 links per chain, and then I think I'm close to 40. out of the 50. And then you have to put your border around that to make your panel. And there's like 7 or 8 panels. Then you gotta, of course, then you gotta stitch them together, all the panels together. And then you gotta make your border around that whole thing. Oh my gosh. I just don't have my pounds. So there's, I have a knee that's been bothering me, and that's what's messing up my mounds today. See, after you make each of those chain links, then you have to put a border around each of the panels, and then put all the panels together, and then make a border around the whole entire thing. So it's a process. It's a very big process. Um, my favorite hook size. I tend to use GHIJ. Those are the sizes I tend to use more often. Of course, those are American terms as opposed to English. Which, by the way, nifty thing about, and I don't mean to use your name, but neat thing about this is that it does give a stitch conversion in both of stitches and hook sizes for both the US and the UK. Because in UK they use different terms. Like in the US, a single stitch. In the UK, it's a double crochet. US, a half double. UK, half treble. US double. UK is a treble. US treble. UK double treble. So yeah, there's a very, very different. There are different terms. That still bothers me. I cannot think of the. And because I watched this person, for the one I'm talking about is this blanket right here with the Tunisian squares. I can't. I should know the name of this YouTuber because I watch it all the time, and for some reason my mind is going to blank. And then after this video is over, I'm going to be like, "Oh yeah, duh." um. Wow, I've been on here just shy over an hour already. I need everybody to hit the thummies, and do your likes, comments, shares, subscribe, all of that good stuff. All of that good stuff. I'm trying to get some things made, some stuff caught up, because I figure if I get some stuff made, and I can get them off the floor and get this little bit under control a little bit because it's slightly messy back here. But watch my videos. You can go back and watch the lives anytime. I have, and then all my videos from last year are also on there. I have some tutorials for some little things like some bracelets and headbands and scrunchies. I do have tutorials on those. I have plans to make some more tutorials on other little things. And the things that on the tutorials on these 2 different card decks, you can, how when you're making a video, it'll ask you if it's for kids or not, and I say no, but kids can watch these. It's just that if you put on market as for kids, and it only goes to YouTube Kids, and And it's like, no, this is for everybody. I learned that the very first time I did that. I was like, oh, okay. um, but yeah, kids can watch them. You can show your kids, and they can learn how to do things too. They can learn how to crochet as well from my videos. Um, Learn how to make, like I said, little bracelets and scrunchies and headbands. Um, I don't have enough confidence yet to do a tutorial on a blanket, so that's gonna be late. That's gonna have to take some another day maybe. Um, um, what else? I don't know. I don't really have a particular favorite name brand of hooks. Well, I do. I tend like the Boyd hooks, but I also like. I also like. Nope, this one's not gonna light up. I do like my light up ones, and I do like hooks. This one is a boy. Um, they have the grips on these. Um, those also make it a little easier. Um, ooh, I think I've only used an end hook like maybe a handful of times, but this is a really chubby hook. But I like these. I like these grips on here. Um, Now, something that I like that use with loom knitting, it's easier to use a pick like this. I mean, I have smaller ones, but I was so happy to find one like this, how big this is, because most of them are only about yay big. I wonder if it's over here. To compare. To compare. This one. No, seeing another one that should be in here. Okay, oh, here's one of them. But see, here's the difference in size. This one has a much longer handle and a much beefier handle than this one. Um, I like this one when I'm doing loom knitting. It makes putting the loops over the hook the hook and on the loom a lot easier. Lots easier. Um, so I do have a favorite little pick for loom knitting, and that's this one. I found this in a thrift store, and I am so thrilled. I am never letting go of this one. I did buy a set of these giant hooks, and then because it was for one of these sizes was for a particular project, and the only way I could get the one is I had to buy the whole set because I didn't have the one by itself, so I had to buy the whole entire. I had to buy the whole set. Um, this is a Q S and a T. I can't imagine anything that would require a crochet hook. These are plastic, but I cannot imagine a crochet hook that any project that would require a crochet hook this large, like ever. But I will keep them. You never know. Unless you made something where you used like several strands at one time, like more than three or four. Like you'd have to use or if you used really thick yarn. Um, maybe not quite that thick of yarn. You know, like maybe yarn like this, maybe, but not quite. But maybe something along this lines, maybe? Or even blanket yarn? But I don't think even blanket yarn needs a hook that size. And if I did several strands of blanket yarn together, then yeah. Oh, speaking of blanket yarn, here, give me a minute. This isn't the blanket yarn. I forgot to put my. Oh, there's the other one. I forgot to put my markers and needles back in the case. I'm getting a little imaginative with blanket yarn. And I know we've all heard about the woobles, the wonderful world of woobles. I am taking the blanket yarn and making the dinosaur wooble out of there. And the woobles are usually only about like this big, and now it's this big because it's in blanket yarn. And I'm going to make a small family of dinos with the blanket yarn. So that's fun. Um, Sometimes you just have to get imaginative with the yarn you have, um, because you'd be surprised the things that you can make with your scraps, especially if you're making something scrappy anyway. Um, like if you don't think you have enough to make a blanket with the blanket yarn, use it to make a stuffy. Use it to make a stuffed animal. You can make stuffed animals comes in all different sizes, so you can use it up to make a stuffed animal. They come in all shapes and sizes. Oh, speaking of shapes and sizes, um, if I knew how to put pictures in here, I would have put a picture on here because I don't know how to do that yet. I haven't figured that out yet. If I get my laptop to cooperate, I think I'm gonna start learning how to do some things with videos, and when I do, that'll be cool. Because I am still learning this YouTube world. I've only been doing this a year, so I'm still learning a lot of little nuances yet. Um, Actually, you know what? It's not in my books. I once took a project that started out as a little stuffed animal, and I turned it into a pillow person. I don't know if y'all remember Pillow People. There was basically a pillow, and they put arms and legs on the bottom of a pillow, and made like a little tuft of hair on top, and like the whole body was the person. Yeah, but and it's gonna take me. I know it's either in this notebook or my other notebook, and then I don't. This is the notebook where I copied things out of books and printed things off the internet, so it's all in black and white. Oh, I should tell you about a blanket I made that I wish my daughter still had, because it was, at the time that I made it, was the hardest thing I ever made, and she no longer has it because of her husband she had then. Oh, it made me so mad. Threw it away. I was so mad. And I am not finding this what I'm trying to find. Isn't that how this world is? When you want it, you can't find it. And when you don't want, I said this earlier, when, because it is true. Oh, of course I'm not finding it right now. And it must be in my other. It must be. If I can't find it, then it's got to be in my notebook. Oh, there it is. Monster Madness. I mean, does it have the actual picture? Oh, yes. Okay, let me get it out. Monster Madness. I took this little guy, who's actually, when it's done, is not much bigger than this. Okay. And I did a lot of math, and I just took yarn and used regular 4-weight yarn, and I used a little bit of blanket yarn, a little bit thicker yarn for like his arms and legs. But I used just regular 4-weight yarn, and I did the math to make it bigger. As you can see here, here's the math I did to make it bigger. Because they have all the instructions here. And I'll make the curly cues for his arms and legs. And then what I did, what I added to it, is I added hair on the back, and I gave it some bangs on the front to make it girly. But yeah, you could always make things bigger, make your animals big and small as you want. You can take, something small and make it bigger. Sometimes you just gotta, it's just like, in these books, or any pattern, even the pattern on the internet, they will give you, for clothing, they will give you directions on how to do it for the various sizes that you need, because some projects are like size inclusive, so that how to do it. If you think about it, if there's like a little kid's pattern for a little kid's outfit that you like, you think, you know what, I think I can make that cute for an adult, or for like a bigger kid, or adult. Just use some math to make it bigger. That's all you gotta do, is use a little bit of math to make something bigger. And I'm not just saying change the hook size or the yarn, which sometimes it does take that, but it also takes some math sometimes just to make it. You should do a few more, do some more chains, do more rows, something along that lines, sometimes, to make something bigger or smaller even. But you can also change the hook size and change the yarn also. But you can also, make your chain smaller or longer. That's another little thing. Yep. Some of the people I like to watch on the day shift, in the mornings, when they have my little rug underneath my chair is giving me fits. Here we go. I was trying to straighten it and it was bothering me. When they have their live, they're usually on for only an hour, and what they would do is they would stop halfway through and they would read their daily devotion and then continue on with the other half of the show, which I appreciate greatly. And so that's why I started doing devotions on my channel. But they're not a part of my lives though. Um, but every day I read devotions and I like to chime in on my own little thoughts on the devotions, whether it's at the end of that particular book, because I have 3 books that I read, and they're each a short little devotion. Um, but I like to interject my own thoughts as I read them. Um, but I also like to crochet, and I still like to loom knit, which I keep saying a lot. But I do have some new people. I've gotten some new people in lately. Um, but like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends about me, watch my videos. Um, one of these days when I have extra time, there's this gal on the YouTube streets. Can't remember what country she is from now, but she will sit there, I swear, like all day long. Like she has, and I'm not claiming that it's too long of a video, but I just think it's cool. She's just sitting there all day long, crocheting and chit chatting with the people in the chat, or talking about things going on in her own life, talking about things going on, things that she is making and showing off her makes. And when I do go thrift shopping, and I'm able to find yarn, because sometimes I can find yarn in thrift stores, and sometimes I can't, because sometimes it's just the yarn desert, and that's the way it is. Um, I do show off all the yarn that I got from the thrift stores. Um, and one time I did do a short little video from Walmart because there was yarn there that I hadn't seen before. It was new to me. Might have been not new to everybody else, but it was new to me. So I showed that. That was like last year sometime. Um, but you can always go back and watch all my old videos and go like and share those. Like and comments on all of those anytime you like. Um, and my gosh, been on here an hour and a half already. um, I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Sun is finally deciding to come out and stay out for a while. It was kind of gloomy out earlier, but I'm glad the sun has finally decided to shine. And the leaves, we're actually finally getting leaves on the trees. Yay! Because they've been so barren from the winter, but now they finally have leaves on them. They're actually starting to get leaves on them again. Yay! Um, and we've gotten flowers that are coming up. Oh, speaking of outdoors, one of the things I got for my birthday was another tripod. And so, depending on the internet, I don't know if I could do it live out in the out in the wild, so to speak. But maybe I will do some tutorials outside, providing the weather cooperates. That's not too windy because I don't want it to knock it over and knock my phone over and all that kind of fun stuff. So, providing that the weather is good, um, do some tutorials um, outside, whether I go in my own yard or I go to a park or wherever. Um, hopefully this summer, this spring and summer, fall, I'll try to do some outside. I know last year I did a couple of them outside, some of the videos outside, and I did. Sometimes I read the devotions outside. It's outside on my front porch and read the devotions last year. Um, so, yeah. Hopefully, like I said, providing that the weather cooperates, because I'm not going to sit on a wet ground after the rain. um, Even with blankets, no, that ain't happening. um, I'm going to try to do that again this year. Do some tutorials outside and devotions outside. 'Cause I love being outside. I love being um, outdoors. Home again, jiggity jig. Home again, jiggity dog. Yes, I know that line. um, that's from a child's book, by the way, if I remember right. But I remember that line. I remember reading that in the kids' book somewhere when I was a kid. Yeah, yeah, one cool woman agrees with me. Yup. um, but yeah, if the weather cooperates, I will try this spring, summer, fall, like I did last year, to try to do some tutorials and devotions outside, providing that the weather is good. Um, so yes, I did say devotions. Go back in my channel. I do devotions every morning. I do have a playlist of my devotions thus far. Um, but every morning, I read out of three different little books. 365 Days of Kindness, Daily Devotions for Grandmothers, and the Illustrated Words of Jesus for Women. This book is kind of cool because it gives you pictures to color. If you like to color, it gives you pictures to color. Some of them I've colored in, and some of them I haven't. Some of them I've added stickers and lettering to for my own things I've added to them. Which I will probably show off, knowing me, since I just did. Um, Also, um, also, one of my long time, one of my subscribers, saying long time, and I've only been on this. I've been Thrifty Crocheter for a year, but this subscriber, I think, has been with me from the beginning, and she watches my devotions religiously. Lately, she has been putting in the comments afterwards. Uh, After hearing the devotion, sometimes, you know, verses, they remind her of several of different verses, and so she was been putting in the comments those verses, and so I have also been writing them down, and I also have videos where after I've written them down, I have been reading said verses. So there's also a playlist for that. That's in there. And I think that is so cool because then we could all hear them and read them together. But somebody once thought I had two channels. I'm like, no, I only got one. And that's Thrifty Crocheter. Although on Facebook, I do have a Facebook group called Thrifty Crocheter as well. Um, every morning, like I said, I read the devotions and I try to, and I add in my own little, what I think of everything. Um, oh, and I also end my devotions with this little prayer. Um, oh, well, that's cool. Um, there probably are more out there than what you think, but they may not always. Where's my list? I had a list one time where I wrote down because there are one, two, three, four. These four ladies like to watch in the morning, and when they do their 1 hour lives, they stop halfway in the middle, read a devotion, and then continue. And then there's out of that same four, one that will do as a separate video or a devotion. Um, There's a couple other ladies that will, as a separate video, they do like me to do a separate video for devotions, and then they have, other videos. There's, you have to go looking, but there's probably more out there than what you think. But at the end, after I get done reading my devotions, because I found this with some when I purchased yarn, and it came with this little prayer, and so I end my devotions with this little swatch of yarn, with this little prayer square, and I read the prayer that goes with it. And I need to make more of those because I do have some made. And I also bought 3x5 cards and a hole punch, and I'm going to attach the prayers to the cards and put them out into the wild, so to speak. They're in. This knee is giving me problems today. They're in this bag, and I've also made separate. I'm getting ready to sneeze. Separate squares or separate crosses like this, and this one I don't think I did quite as well, but I tried to make this one. It was very difficult. Do 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 do. Nope, here's a blue one, like the white one. The royal, yeah, kind of like a royal blue. It looks purple the camera, but it's blue. Kind of royal, like a dark royal blue. Look, the whole bunch is still in its thing because I haven't used it yet. And so are the 3x5s. Because I'm waiting until I get on as many done as I want, and then I will. I'm gonna be doing that. I have the yarn set aside. I have yarn set aside for that too. That's a whole separate bag right there. But I'm making those prayer squares to give out to people, and I'm including this particular prayer. Now, the pattern I found for this, actually it's Sarah Satch. She actually has a pattern for this. But most of the patterns for the other cross squares and the crosses I have in that bag, I found on Pinterest. Pinterest is another great place to go to find patterns for a lot of things, believe it or not. Besides YouTube, Pinterest is also a very, very good one. Because that's where I found all of those. And so that pencils. Trying to think what else. I don't know. I've been on here for an hour and a half. This has been a really long live video for me. Bless you too, long cool woman. It's been kind of windy today. It's been kind of a gusty wind. Um, I had to take my car into the shop this morning, and when it must have rained while I was in there. Because when I came out, the ground was all wet, and it went wet like that when I pulled in. Evidently, I missed the rain. But when I was leaving, it was raining a little bit because I had to stop at the store on the way home, and it was raining then. So, oh, I know a lot of you. I did kind of create yarn, my own yarn, sort of. Sifting some soil. Hi. Hi, 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 hi. I took my crochet thread and oh, that was not it. This is it. And I made these two. And I can't remember now if I used the steel hook or if I used the aluminum crochet hooks. Probably the largest of the steel hooks. And these are actually just one long chain, like and they still kind of boggle my mind a little bit. It's called chain link crochet, chain link yarn, chain link crochet yarn, or something like that. But it does look kind of similar to this in my mind. And I just made one really long chain, and then I caked it up. I balled it up and then caked it up. And what is really cool about this is when was last time, not that long ago, I went to a thrift store and bought more yarn, and I found this yarn, and it looks so. I mean, it's not the chain link kind of yarn, but the coloring on it is almost exactly like this. I mean, it is so similar. It's like somebody read my mind and created this. But this has been, I can guarantee you, this has been around a lot longer than this has. But they were just so similar. I was just like, ah! Somebody made mine! Yeah, that is cool. So, I keep them together now. I don't know if I'll make something of them, but I just think that was so cool. um, um, and I do have a little bit of arthritis and tendonitis in my left hand. So occasionally while I'm crocheting or if I'm reading a video and you see me wearing yeah, like a splint or a glove or something on this hand, that's because it's bothering me. I do have some crochet gloves. I should actually have a couple pairs where they're at right now because my craft room is a little messy. I don't know. But this last year for Christmas, maybe the year before, it's in this cute little sack. My girls have got me. Well, this isn't the only one. There's one that happens to be a snake, but it's not the only one I have. All these little crochet rings. Another snake. You have one that kind of looks like a swan. They wore earlier today. That I tend to wear it as a ring. Oh, here's one. There's another one, kind of like a little swan. I mean, they have all different designs. Then they come in different sizes. Some people they work, and for some they're more jewelry, and I tend to wear mine as more jewelry. Some people use them for what they're intended for, which is like for crocheting and knitting. Sometimes I wear them when I'm crocheting. I do like using my pillow. You know, it's over in my bedroom right now. This is my craft room, but it's sitting over there in my bedroom because I got some projects going on over there. Um, Actually, the projects that I was showing you, these three projects that I was showing you, they're oh, you know what, sifting. My mom had to do that too. She passed away last year, but several years ago, mm, been decades ago. It literally has been decades ago. Um, she had to have surgery on both hands, and they did them one at a time. And because she had um, carpal tunnel, and so they had to do. She had it really bad, so they had to do surgery. This one has carpal tunnel and tendonitis. Right now, I'm just happy that it's not at the point where they do surgery. Um, oh, you do have the Granny Square card box. Cool. You know what? I can't wait for the summer one to come out and it has the flowers. I showed this earlier. I do have some of them done. And then the next one, I'm going to have to read the instructions because it does have the instructions carefully because it has use four colors. You have one color here, one here, one here, and one here. And and it does have the instructions on how to do it. And I'm gonna have to look at the instructions on how to do it because and read through it carefully because I am thoroughly confused. But once I got it figured out, then I'm going to put a video out for that one. But here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now this one, and I tell you about it in the video, I could not figure out by using the card alone. They have like these directional arrows, and it was confusing the heck out of me. I have a book where it uses a bunch of granny squares, and sometimes you have to use you have to use 2 colors to make certain projects, to make certain pictures, like whether it's like you're making a stuffed animal or you're making a kind of like a graph can using squares. Um, and so one side has to be one color, one side has to be the other color to make the picture, right? So I use that book and I based the directions on that book to make this square because otherwise I was having a hard time figuring out how to make this one. So, and I tell you that in the video. I do have a playlist for that, and I have a playlist for the Stitch card deck, and I have a playlist for this. Um, I don't have all, we don't have all of these done yet. We do have a lot of them done, but we don't have the box done yet. We're going through this as well. But whenever the flower one comes out, I'm gonna make sure to buy that because are gonna be making all the granny squares, and we're gonna be making the flower ones too. And when I get done with the granny square ones, I'm gonna make that into a blanket. And when I get done with all the flowered ones, then I'm gonna make that into a blanket. Oh, I'm glad you do. I'm so glad you do. Um, and but anyway, like I said earlier in my video, if you want to, you can make one blanket with nothing but the grannies and the other one with nothing but flowers, or if you want to, you can make a blanket where you combined both just the grannies and just the flowers together to make a blanket. You can do it any way you want. Like these are all done with scraps. They really are. They're just with scraps I've been using. You can use up your scraps to make grannies. Um, You can use, now when I do the tutorials, like I don't keep the swatch per se. Like when I get done making a video, I always frog it so I can use the yarn somewhere else in another project. Um, but you know, if you always wanted to, you could always make, I don't know, you make something with the, if you said to make little swatches and then put the swatches together to make some kind of little thing. You could do that, I suppose. I don't know, but that's just an idea. I like a sampler blanket. Sampler blanket. There, I said the word. Um, you could do something like that with the with this. You know, instead of make a you know just a swatch, you can make a square with the stitches and make a sampler blanket. That's an idea. Um, but I do pray for you, Sifting, and that everything goes well. I mean, I pray for you. I pray for your doctors and the surgeons that everything goes smoothly and that nothing happens, and that after everything is healed up from the surgery, because I don't know which hand you work with, um, but that, oh, you wouldn't have known. Oh yeah, it's called Bella Coco's Crochet Stitch Card Deck, a pocket stitch library and 52 cards. And like I said, I do have a playlist in there. I do have, and I'll show again the ones that I've done so far. So give me a minute. Let me put my basket down. Oh, this is a blanket that I'm working on using Tunisian squares. Oh, I'm right-handed too. I tell you what, if I could not crochet, if I could not crochet, I'd probably lose my mind. Um, and one of that's have a book. Oh, when you get that, if you get that box, hang on to this. Hang on to this booklet, because on a lot of the stitches it does tell you to refer to this. So you definitely need it. Diamond painting. That does seem to be starting to become a little bit of a rage. I mean, it looks pretty, and I'm sorry, but I mockingly call it like a adult. Um, Gosh, I had a man and I lost it. I'm so sorry. Bedazzling. It's like adult bedazzling. But I do. I mean, I do love the look of diamond painting. I do love how beautiful the pictures turn out. But all them little teeny tiny bedazzling dots, and then you gotta glue them on one at a time, and no, like I can color by number, you know, and I color pictures, you know, without being colored by number. But I tried paint by number. Well, like they're actually using real paints instead of just watercolor, and I no, I can't do paint by number. I could not do I could not do adult bedazzling. That's just, I'm sorry to call it that, but that's what it reminds me of. It was like adult bedazzling. um, no. Maybe I'll try it. I mean, I like to do crafts. Maybe I'll try it one day. Like, like if the Dollar Tree has like a small little project, has a small one that I could try. Maybe I'll try that. But till then, nah, I can't do it. Those are too tiny of beads to try to glue on one at a time, and just nah. Anyway, but I appreciate those that do, because I appreciate the look up. I appreciate how beautiful they are, how gorgeous they are. There are some really neat pictures out there. Those are really, really cool looking. but I couldn't have the patience for that. Although some people probably would say they wouldn't have the patience for crocheting or knitting either, or any other craft that's out there. Everybody likes different kinds of crafts. Like I like to crochet and loom knit. Sifting likes her crafts, and some people like my daughter. One of my daughters, she crochets, she knits, she sews, she um, draws, and I mean artistically draws. She she does a lot of stuff in her sketchbooks that are just amazing. And she writes for articles for our local newspaper. Um, she works a full time job she also used to do um, needlepoint, but she hasn't done that in a long, long time. Something else that same daughter also used to do when she was younger is that she took a pair of pants and a shirt, cut them up, and then remade them into something else. She used to do a lot of that too, um, where she would just take other clothing and cut them up and remake them into something else. And that was so cool to find, so cool to see some of the imaginative things that she made out of them. It was so cool. Um, you're just an old kindergartner. Well, that must be me. That must be me too, because I love to color. I love to color and color. Okay, that was weird. I lost it, and then it came back. But I have a phone, though. I have a phone call to get that's kind of trying to get through, and this one could be important because my dad is in the hospital. He's doing all right, so don't worry. But I gotta go. It's been almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. But look for my videos. Actually need to add some of these to my playlist. I don't have all of them, but I do need to add some of these to my playlist. Hey, Shatika! I didn't talk to you by name, but I did refer to you. Um, she's the one who sends me all the verses from the devotions, and I read them, and I really appreciate all the verses. And so anytime you guys watch my videos, watch my devotions, and while you're hearing them, if it reminds you of another verse, put it in the comments. I'll write it on my piece of paper, and I would choose a night to read them all thoroughly to you, and we'll just have a grand old time. But it's gone on almost 2 hours now. That's a long video. That's a long live video for me. Long cool woman. Unfortunately, I don't have set days and times. I have pop ups because I never know I have one day off each week, and then I'm off every other weekend. I have a dad at home, at his home, that lives by himself, does not drive, and so after I take my daughter to work, I go help him run errands. So then on my days off, after I get done running him with errands, then sometimes I might do a tutorial, or sometimes I might do a live, depending what time, when I got time to. Occasionally I work second shift. I get off at 9. I usually get home anywhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock my time. I live in the Midwest. So I have Eastern time. And there have been a few times where I've done lives at night. So I wish I could have a scheduled days and times, but my schedule, because every morning I take my daughter to work and then I have to leave a little bit later in the morning to go to my work in the afternoon. It's just hard to schedule, have the same day and time every day. It's just too difficult. So instead of stressing myself out to be on time for a live every day, I just do pop ups, and that relieves a lot of stress on myself. So I know it's not um, the typical thing to do, but it's what works for me. Um, but anyway, I really need to go. So I love y'all, and I'm going to read the prayers. Going to read the prayer. This small swatch of yarn has been woven with prayers. As you hold this swatch in your hand, may you feel God's strength, love, and peace flow, and know that He holds you in His hands. May God bless and comfort you in time of need and give you peace. Amen. I love y'all. Bye.